Okay, everybody, I'm going to use my phone camera here today. Unfortunately, my old camcorder it's too fuzzy and goes out of focus all the time, and it's old and worn out. I have to babysit the dog in this video, and he's mad because I'm making him sit still on that chair. There's a mouse somewhere over there, and he keeps going just crazy over it. So he'll get up and run over there once he sees it come back out. But anyways, today's video was going to look at these push rods and rockers and kind of go over the fiasco I had earlier this summer, midsummer, when I tried to get this car started for the first time after moving. I bought a set of hardened stock push rods for it. The intakes and the exhaust are different lengths on a big block. And then the cam I got was a CL11-405-5 comp cam, which is a turbo blower supercharger cam. And when I called and ordered that originally, they said that the stock push rods would work. They recommended hardened ones, and so that's kind of what I did. And they also didn't say anything about the rocker arms, I guess, whether you could use the stock ones or not. I assumed you could just use the stock ones. You know, it's a 3-spring setup on the springs, which I'm only running 2 springs because your head has to be machined for the most inner spring to work, and these heads aren't machined, and I'm not doing all that. And you know, if it blows up, it blows up, but I haven't had any problems with them yet. So we're just running the 2 springs. But my point on that is, you know, I figured, you know, the problem you're going to run into is these not being strong enough. Which, so like I said, this is kind of a all over the place thing here. You have to kind of follow. I got the cam, installed the cam, got to the point of doing push rods, priming the engine, all that fun stuff. And I was putting these push rods in, and I noticed I was having to put the nut on top. I was going way down the stud to even adjust my rockers. And I thought for some reason that was just way too far. And then I would turn the motor over and it would stop. It would like lock up where it wouldn't move or do anything unless I backed off the retainer nuts there, rocker nuts, and then it would start turning over again. So I was for sure, you know, small circle cam, something was up. So I ordered push rods that were a 1/4 inch longer exhaust and intake, and that's what I've been running in it. But I was talking to some other guys, and they said, well, no, you're not getting as much lift as you should be getting because you used the longer push rod, and there's probably a good chance that happened. So I got this motor running with those longer push rods. However, it ran for about 5 miles, and then it started running really horrible. And how I made it home, I don't know. But I managed to make it home. And I heard a rattling on this side. I pulled the valve cover, and 2 of the rocker arms were split in half, completely broken in half. And then all the other rocker arms had this going on. You can see that that's all cracked. So I wasn't sure what was going on. And all the front of the rocker arms are cracked and distorted too. Well, it turns out you have a short and a long slot. These are factory short slots. Obviously what was happening is they were binding up and it was just shattering and snapping these in half, and it was because they were binding up on the studs, which it chewed up the studs. I happen to have another set of studs, so fixed that problem. I don't think this was one of them, but anyways, I had to go get comp cam, big slot, rocker arms. That's all I could find anyways. So the point of all this is, will the stock push rods work even though I'm having to go really far down? Was it the motor locking up because all of this was binding up on the stud, and it wasn't the spring or the piston sitting the valves as I was suspecting? I kind of thought it was just the spring getting crunched too much, binding the spring too much. You know, or the push rods that I ordered the right ones because it's a small circle cam, and unfortunately Summit Racing, when I ordered this, didn't realize you had to have different push rod lengths. I don't know. So what we're gonna do is pull the rockers and the push rods. We're gonna install these new hardened stock link, and you know, go from there. Which is interesting. These are hardened or whatever, stronger ones. You know, I've got some other hardened ones there, and usually the hardened ones are black, but I don't know if we can see them, but those exhaust ones, they're just like this, and they're hardened as well. So I don't know, but these were supposed to be hardened, so we'll see. If you think you know or you know, then you can tell me in the comments that you can tell me I'm wrong, even though I'm the one, I'm just the one who ordered them hardened like that from Summit. So it would technically be Summit, but you can let me know what your thoughts are on them. But they have to be somewhat hard because they broke all of these, those silver ones that are in there broke all these rocker arms in half, and it didn't bend them, so they got to be somewhat strong. All right, well, I'm gonna grab some tools and we'll get these apart and we'll take a look at this. Yeah, he's over there camping out for that mouse now. So we got all the push rods and rockers off, and I took all the spark plugs out. I haven't really looked at them recently, but it's running rich. This one's not running super terrible rich, but you can kind of see a light tan in there. But she's running rich. Oops. More or less running rich. This one here is probably burning some oil. That's what it's going to look like to me. We're running rich. And this one here is probably burning some oil. Or actually, that could be fuel. It's hard to say. I don't really ever notice the car smoking, so, you know. I'm actually surprised that first spark plug isn't bad. When I put these valve springs on, it came with a kit, and I lost one of the umbrella valve springs. So I had to find the nicest old crunchy one I had and put on that valve there, on the exhaust valve. So maybe it's just burning off in the exhaust, but I'm surprised it's not showing worse on that first spark plug. Now again, these are the hardened ones. this is what was sold to me from Summit as a hardened push rod. So again, before you guys start getting all excited, that's what I was sold. And I'm just assuming, because see, here's some trick flow ones I got. And these ones are the black, you know, forged, whatever you want to call them, all one piece push rod. But, and these silver ones, I'm pretty sure are trick flow too. They just don't have the name on them. No, let's see, what are these? These are MPRs. But that's the push rods. None of them are bent or anything. Well, none of these should be bent because these are what I put in to run these new rocker arms. So I'm just looking to see if there's damage, mostly right here, which does not look like there's any damage. I'm probably not gonna be able to see in there. I'm guessing that's just the color, the machining, the hardening of the steel, whatever coming off. It looks like it's scratched, but yeah, it's nice and smooth. So yeah, just discoloring or something, but well, they seem okay. I already kind of went through and touched all the rollers. They all seem fine. Everything on the valves and stuff, nothing's loose. None of the valve guides are falling apart or anything. I had a 402 big block very briefly, and it was rebuilt and ran, but something was wrong with it. And so I got it really cheap, and all the valve guides in it were, you could grab them and move the valves. It was absolutely horrible. We'll look at these plugs on this side in a little bit, but anyways, we will I'm gonna clean these. These here I took out of the package because we try to run them. These are the ones that actually broke the what you call it, the rocker arms and stuff. So I'm gonna clean these up. They've been sitting out, dusty. I'll get those all cleaned up and I'll install a set, and we'll throw the rocker arms on, and we'll do our best to kind of adjust them to a point, because then I got to do the other side, and then we got to rotate the engine around and all that to adjust them. And again, the oil's not primed up and stuff. There's a lot of things you have to put into consideration, but I'm hoping at the end of this video we can at least start it up and see if it'll run, and see if we can bend any valves or something. I hope not, but we'll find out. Okay, well, I got some stuff done. I've been watching David Freiberger's new YouTube channel. I kind of quit watching Roadkill and all that stuff a long time ago, but I kept up with Roadkill Garage, and I guess all that stuff is pretty much done, so he's just doing his own YouTubes, which is, they're over an hour long and stuff, but they're pretty good. I actually enjoy seeing him kind of more by himself and doing stuff, I guess, than other people. But anyways, just thought I'd throw that out there. I'm sure you guys already know about it. So I got the stock push rods back in there. I don't know the exact lengths of them. I know I ordered everything a 1/4 inch. Those trick flows that I got were 9.5s, 9.5 inches, I believe. And I think the stock is just 9.2, something like that. 9.1, I don't know. But I just want to show you real quick. I got these adjusted pretty much where they would be. And you see how far the jam nut is. Okay. And they're all pretty close to that. And then look over here. That's about where the jam nuts are with these other ones. Again, I don't know why it confuses me so much, but I just assumed that that was going to be way too much lift. But I guess, you know, I guess you can't, I don't know. I don't know if these 454s will hit valves or not. I'm sure they can. I'm sure you can float a valve pretty easily and hit one. But I don't know. And of course, this is not a good way to turn your motor over, but I can't really get a bar down in the inside that pulley. It's like 4 inches deep and it just doesn't work very well. However, I have been able to pull this, turn this motor over 100 or 360 degrees. I haven't had any binding issues. Now again, I'm just assuming that the binding issues I was having was from these hitting the studs. That's what I'm going to assume. And again, I know this is a really super confusing deal because it confuses me. I use these rocker arms with the longer, because there's the original push rods. I use these rocker arms with these new length and 1/4 inch longer push rods originally, but they still broke in half, and it's still because they were bottoming out on that. Now again, that just seems like way too much, you know, too much lift and stuff. But I'm guessing, I don't know. I really don't know where I'm going with this other than we're gonna see if it'll start and run with stock push rods. The whole point of this video is, as I was told originally, you just use the same length push rods and just get hardened ones. Which would make sense is what you would want to do, because it was a lot of frustration trying to find specific length push rods. So that just seems like that'd be a lot of work for a comp cam, you know, especially just one made for anybody like myself to just throw in and run. So far it's turning over. I haven't noticed anything. It hasn't binded up, and I do mean it would lock up. You could not keep going. And then you'd have to go back, spin backwards to get out of it. So I guess I will do these ones next, and then we'll try to spin it over, see if it'll just spin over. And I'm guessing the ratio and everything, it's just probably, I'm just overthinking everything, I'm sure. I just got really worried about it when I got stuck and I started breaking rocker arms and all that other stuff. I'm gonna say that's a relaxed rocker arm, and it seems to be pretty centered. And that's with the short factory style push rod. And I'm going to say that one's relaxed and it's not on the center. So, you know, that's why I'm doing this, because before I go and destroy this engine or do something horrible, you know, I may as well try to get it fixed up. And again, I am not an expert on these big block Chevys. I know a lot more about LS motors and stuff. I know a lot more about small block motors. I just within the last few years is when I really got into any of these big block motors, so I'm still learning. But the reason I'm making this video is because I did a lot of research when I was having this problem and I couldn't find any information about it. I'm sure other people ran into this problem, and I'm sure they're like, well, you got to see where the tip of your rocker arm is riding on your valve. Like that one's fully open and it's a little bit off. But again, you know, I don't know. I'm kind of on this as I'm learning. I'm just buying bolt-on products and hoping that they work and learning all the stuff afterwards. But anyways, I gotta rip all this off, do the same thing, and maybe I can find my compression tester. I would like to compression test the engine. That would maybe tell us some stuff too. So anyways, I'll quit rambling and I'll bring you back when I got something to do. All right, well, I got this side put together. And I turned the engine over several times so I know it's not jamming up. And I individually adjusted every one of these. So I was going to mention a couple of things while I got these valve covers off. If you got a bunch of grime and stuff down in your motor or on your intake, it's a good time to clean it off while you can get to it. These valve cover gaskets, if you notice in the video, I had those screws in them. I glued them down partially. Oh, sorry about that. I glued them down partially because they were a real pain in the butt to get on this engine and lined up, especially the backs here. They'd want to kind of go all over the place and get oil leaks and everything else. So I kind of just glued them at the spots where the screws go. But well, theoretically it should run. I cannot find my compression tester, so I don't know. I may just have to get the wife to come in and hit the starter, and I'll stick my fingers on every thing to make sure they're actually running. And the reason I want to do that is make sure the valves aren't hanging open. And this is a good time to look at my header work. So that collector right there, you know, I had to cut that completely off, re-weld that. You can see where I've had to cut the header, re-weld that one. Had to smash it with a hammer because I was too lazy to work that header pipe because I was kind of tired of it at that point. But really I should have cut it and heated that and bent that. You can see where I had to cut slits in that and bend that header tube around. Lots of fun. And had to have a mini starter. The regular starter wouldn't fit. The regular big old GM starter, so I had to get a mini starter and put on there. Works fine. I still don't think we'll be able to see this one real good, but we'll try. So you can see I sliced that off, had to build that. I don't know, let's see. I don't know if I can turn the light on this. Hang on. All right, there we go. So I had to cut that, You can kind of see all my welds down there. But I had to build that tube around the motor mount. And this one here, I didn't have to do too much. I had to cut this one here and scooch it closer away from the steering shaft. I don't think I did anything to these two here. Same thing, the collector down there, wherever it's at, I had to cut and relocate it. So, not the end of the world. On building headers. 4 or 5 days, I guess, since the last time I was doing a video on this. I was coming down with a nasty cold and just kind of got over that. So I don't remember exactly where I left you. A couple of days I felt kind of good. I came out and just did some really small stuff like putting the valve covers on and finishing up the rocker arms. And there's all the old push rods. But and it snowed a whole bunch, which is fine. We need the snow. So I've been having to do firewood and other stuff today, this morning, but should be good now. So on this, basically I'm gonna get the plugs back in it, and we're gonna try to get it started up and see if it'll actually run. Obviously I'm not going to be able to go see if it runs down the road any different, but maybe the idle's going to change on it. I don't know. And then we can take a look at that booster. I think I was looking for my compression tester too, and I have not actually looked for that, so I might try to do that to make sure that the compression on it's still there. And what I mean by that is making sure the valves aren't staying open or open too much or whatever. You know, make sure it's got compression. You either have compression or you don't if a valve is sticking open. So, but again, I just kind of got in here and trying to get fires going and get it warmed up in here. It's pretty cold. So, yep, I'll get some stuff done and we'll bring it back. I guess while I'm letting that warm up, I gotta have a battery. Well, I'd say we got 3 or 4 inches of snow last night. I haven't started this Jeep in 8 days or so. That's the battery I'll have to use. And this battery's not really known as a good battery, so we'll just see. Ugh. Surprisingly, this old girl fired right up. It takes her a long time to get oil pressure. I'm pretty sure the oil pump in this is about had it too. Heads have had it. Motor's got 170,000 miles on it, and I'm sure it's been abused. There she goes. I'm sure someone's gonna say, you shouldn't rev that up with no oil pressure. Again, the old motor's all worn out. It smokes real bad. Well, actually not too bad today, but it usually smokes really bad when you first start it. Well, we'll just let that sit there and run. I want to make sure that battery's good and charged up and good and warm. That old 454 takes some power. I might go see if my loader will start. It's down at my parents' house, and maybe try to suck some of the snow out of here. But anyways, we're gonna let that run a while, let the shop warm up, and then we'll start working on trying to get this guy fired up. I gotta go get some gas for the Javelin anyways, so heading down the mountain in the old military truck. Not that it's probably that great of footage, but it is straight down the mountain. Even though we look like we're just driving level, we're not. But, hopefully no cars come flying up here, because you got a cliff on one side and a hill on the other and ditches. This isn't a really wide road, and a lot of tourists fly up this road. But I haven't seen any snowmobilers yet today, so should be good. To shift and hold the camera at the same time. We made her. Oh, there we go. Grind it till you find it. Town got some snow too. That's good. We haven't had much of a winter yet. Okay, well I just got back, got the plugs in, put the battery in, took the hat off, or the scoop, whatever you want to call it. Belt seems a little loose, but should be alright. I haven't tried to start it at all yet, so here goes nothing. I couldn't find my compression tester, so we're just gonna have to hope that the valves aren't being weird or something. And I guess this is kind of the moment of truth, whether we're gonna bend some valves or not. I would assume it would start. I mean, it's been in here a couple weeks, but the carburetor should still have some gas in it, so I'm going to pump on it a little bit. Actually, I'm going to open up this garage door just in case it decides to start, so we don't die of carbon monoxide. I better leave the trunk open because it probably won't start. That stuff might fall off. Oh. I'm just gonna pump the crap out of it. Alright, well, here goes nothing. We tried. Gotta be really careful with it in case something is happening. They don't blow it up. Yeah, it's super cold. sound too. Of course, it's really super cold. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's probably valve adjustment or something. Probably got a valve opened a little too much. So I'll pop off these valve covers again and just check them out. I mean, keep in mind I adjusted these with no oil pressure or anything, so they're probably just too open. There's probably some that are way too much, so let me do some looking at it. We found an intake valve on the driver's side that was, well, I don't know really how, but it was a turn too much. And then I found two exhaust valves on the passenger side that were quarter turn, 3/4 turn too much. So let's try this again. Say that and it does that. Check that big oil leak. I'm guessing it's just all the oil from the valve covers. Leaking off. I'm just guessing it's all the oil that was on here just smoking off of it. Filling up my shop with smoke pretty quick. Well, let's see if we can get this thing to idle on its own. Probably this car probably is running problems, really is the carburetor. That carburetor is old, and you know, it really probably needs the 2 carburetor setup. Seems to be running good now, or better. I wouldn't call it running. Call it running top shape, but I don't hear any mechanical noise. It's revving up good and clean, so I'm gonna say the next thing we're gonna have to do is take that carburetor up and really look at it. I mean, it's clearly got problems. See if it'll fire back up. Okay. You know, usually if I'm having real problems with it, which I have had in the past, it won't just fire up. You gotta kind of open up the carb all the way, but I'm sure that carburetor is now our bigger problems that we have. It did dry up finally, sorta. And another reason I'm pretty sure we got carb problems is this side of the blower always gets gas on it. So gas is always leaking out, I'm sure, through the butterfly blades on there, the throttle blades. And looks like that there is wet, so you know, it probably really just needs a new carburetor. And I was thinking with this, I know this is the choke and everything. I just, for some reason in my mind, I can never remember if it's all the way forward or out, but it'll kick on a high idle type of thing. So. I'm actually not sure where we're getting smoke from down there. It probably has a little antifreeze leak somewhere. Of course, that doesn't smell like antifreeze, so I don't know. The old hose is getting close to the old belt there. And it's probably just burning crap off of the hose because it's finally gotten warmed up some. But, see, and that's why I'm saying I'm pretty sure this carburetor is just leaking because it's still gas is still getting down in there, so that's probably why it's running rich. But all right, everybody. Well, again, I appreciate watching this really long, drawn out, probably didn't make a lot of sense video about rocker arms and stuff and push rods. I'm not an expert on any of that stuff. I just thought it'd be a video we could try. I was always really worried about running those stock length push rods. You know, even though I know the problem with the motor locking up was probably the factory rocker arm sitting the studs. But at the time I got it running, I was happy and I really wanted to just drive it. So whether that was robbing horsepower or just not doing me any good at all, having longer push rods. You know, it is what it is. It ran, and I got to enjoy it a few times this summer. So hopefully we can continue tinkering around on this thing, and maybe we'll get that carb off next and play with it. I would really like to just paint this car and stuff to it, but that's probably just not going to happen right now. I do have different seats I'm going to put in it. As fun as these racing seats are, they're not very comfortable. So I've got some turtleback seats I think I'm going to put in it that are really nice and sort of reupholstered. And you know, I might clean up the dash a little bit, and we might do some work to the floor, and heck, I don't know, I might be able to afford to get a carpet kit for it, or make our own carpet for it. That's what I did to the AMX years ago. I could never afford a carpet kit. See if we can get to it here through this pile of trash. You're probably not gonna be able to see it, but you can kind of see the seam right there in the console. But I ended up just going and buying some of those black carpet rugs that you can just buy for your house or whatever, and using those to make a carpet for that AMX, and might do the same thing for this. So that's a lot cheaper than trying to buy the carpet kit. It's not the right thing to do, but you gotta do with what you gotta do. So all right, well, I'm gonna quit talking. This video is probably really super long now, and again, I appreciate you guys who watch this and keep up with it. And like I said, next time maybe we'll conquer that carburetor. Thanks for watching.